One's ready. Go!
This will be a fun one. It'll be a fun one for everybody, Trent. We're not going to say spicy things that would put us back behind the paywall, although we would like people to subscribe to the podcast. That's the whole thing. That's the whole way that we keep going. Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. It's me, it's Trent. We're going to keep it fun today. Well, there is one sad story, but we'll talk about that. But overall, it's going to be fun. We're just going to BS. We're going to catch you up on some stuff that we've been doing. We're going to talk a retirement of an American war hero. We're going to learn some stuff. We're going to teach you about the Ides of March and why it's so terrible. Then we're going to talk about probably the funniest news story that I've seen for a lot of reasons. People die, and the person doing it is hilarious. So we're going to talk about that, and that made Trent happy right there.
I mean, funny death is pretty funny.
Listen, man, it's good. I've talked about it before, but you know, I was going to talk about a podcast. I'm not going to talk about another podcast. So we'll just get right into it. Do me a favor, go over and check out Barbell Apparel. Barbell Apparel is sweet. They have shirts that actually make you look fit for being fit. Don't spend all that time in the gym just to look dumpy and athleisure. You look stupid. Even the Lulu pants. I don't know what's going on with Lulu's sizing recently. I am a Lulu guy. No big deal. I have a lot of money. When I was buying Lulu, ever since I've gotten in shape, I've really noticed, I'm like, man, these pants are really meant for like dudes with straight legs. And like the sizing is always weird. Like it's European weird sizing half the time. I love Lulu. I've worn their shorts and their pants forever, but their color combos and stuff are just off. So went to Barbell, never looked back. From the gym to the boardroom, everything's great. I love the button down polo. I wear it to work all the time. The pants are fantastic. Make sure you get the right style though. Trent, can you tell us about your slim fit pants, please?
I don't want to, but I am not a slim fit pants kind of guy, you know? Like there are pants on me that it's not like all my pants are like super baggy or anything, right? And I wear some fairly fitted things, but man, these pants are like yoga pants on my legs. So just you know, look in a mirror before you order and understand that if you're like 140 pounds and you're the same height as me, you could probably get those jeans and be totally fine with them. I cannot.
Right.
So be careful.
But it was the funniest text message I ever got.
Do you know what's crazy though? Even with those super tight yoga pant jeans on, I could still move in them. I could still do a full squat because I wanted to test them out.
You could go do a workout in them. No kidding. Yeah. Like I wore the gym stuff, and then you know there was a video of Valhalla VFT, our friend Nate. Nate was working out in his and was doing like heavy over the shoulders and stuff. And those pants are dope. I sent a text message out. I was like, man, these pants are awesome. So go to Barbell. They're just good friends. You don't even need a code. So Barbell Apparel. And listen, do you want to fill those clothes out a little bit? Do you want to fill them out? You know what? I love doing ad reads at the beginning now because of the one guy that said, yeah, the one guy that said we shouldn't do ad reads. So I
got all the way to work, bro, and you were still reading ads. It's like, you can hit that little button.
I like to rip off a real cool 5-minute ad read in the business. We're going to do, you know what? We're going to do normal podcast stuff. We're going to rip off some ad reads, and then Trent, you and I are going to introduce ourselves. So I want to think about your introduction for whatever it is you possibly want to do. Cause that's what you're supposed to do as a podcast. We got new listeners. You got to tell them who we are, you know?
Yeah.
But also go over to Modern Athlete Strength Systems. They're great. Use our code ONESREADY. You can actually go to the Train Heroic app and go through the Train Heroic app and look for Modern Athlete Strength using the link to get to the Train Heroic app. ONESREADY. That tells them that we sent you over there. Listen, man, they have a full suite of options. And if you go through us, you're going to get a discount on every single thing that you do, whether you need a nutrition program, whether you need a full-on operator training pipeline program. Man, the lunch pail program from Coach Jimmy. It's Jimmy, right?
I think I was going to ask you what his name was. He was very enthusiastic.
It's not Eric. Yeah, it's Coach Jimmy. Yeah, Eric is the nutritionist over there that wrote the.
Oh, Eric was the nutritionist. He's a psychopath.
Dude, psychopath. He is the nutrition Taylor Starch. Like that guy is a mad scientist as far as nutrition goes. It's crazy. But go over to Modern Athlete Train and shout out to Coach Jimmy and that lunch pail program. Man, no nonsense. You don't have a lot of time. You grab your lunch pail, you go to work, you hit your workout quick, you get it done, and you make gains. So go over to Modern Athlete Strength. They've got everything you need all the way up to. They are even going to give you full personalized, I think it's a 6-month program of one-on-one coaching for nutrition, strength, lifestyle, the entire thing, that packet as well. If you sign up for that, tell them that you sent us, you're going to get a huge discount on it. So go over to Modern Athlete Strength Systems, everything you need to fill out those beefy shirts. Trent, can you introduce yourself for the folks?
Yeah, my name's Trent Segmiller. Speaking of mass, Coach Jimmy is just one of those guys I want to make proud. You know, he's like the dad I never had because he's yoked and he can lift all the weights. The reason I still want to make my dad proud is I was a weather guy in the Air Force for a long time. That makes nobody proud. So here I am on a podcast. I'm not sure how I got here, but I'm mostly just here to talk about how great the Alaska PJs are, and to make fun of Peaches because he's tiny.
That's
Aaron,
probably the best interest. Aaron, hi, retired pararescueman. I was in the Air Force for 22 years. The vast majority of it, like 17 or 18 years of it, I was a PJ. You can find me at Aaron Loves America over on Instagram if you want to see some spicier takes. I'm also over on the War Room. You can check that out. It's another cool thing with a bunch of friends. But I'm here to talk to you about getting you to the hardest selection course and through the hardest selection course in the DoD, and that is Air Force Special Warfare. So here we go. Trent, we started off talking, and you said you had no idea why, but where are the Ides of March? So the Ides of March for me, March is a terrible month for me, and I'll tell you why. And it's historically
it was also a terrible movie.
The Ides of March?
I think that's what it was called, right?
Is that a rom-com? Are you trying to rom-com it up right now? What are we talking about here?
No, I think it was a drama. It was like a Gosling Clooney thing when they're trying to make Gosling a thing.
Oh, that's right. I vaguely remember that. I don't really care. So the Ides of March, what is it? So famously in Julius Caesar, so Shakespeare, Caesar goes to the oracle, and oracle says, beware the Ides of March. The date March 15th, a dark and gloomy connotation. So why is this historically relevant? Well, Caesar went there and the oracle told him, beware the Ides of March. And then he got stabbed for it. And that's where we got the salad. That's not historically relevant. Don't do that. So basically
the Caesar salad chopped Caesar, is that
it is? Yeah, you need a knife.
Oh.
That's why they always give you a knife with the Caesar salad. And then I couldn't even wear my white gold hoops, and I think we should just totally stab Caesar. There's a pop culture reference for you. Mean Girls, great movie. But anyway, the Ides of March, back in the day, we had calendars, right? And the Ides were halfway through the calendar. The Ides is the 15th of March. A bunch of bad things have happened on the Ides of March. We're going to talk about that a little bit later specifically, but every year, so way back in high school, this is where this originated for me, is that there was a Latin club, and it was ran, you know, those high school teachers that are really cool and everybody likes them?
No.
Okay, tight. Well, there's always one that like is, you know, treats you like an adult, treats you like some sort of like normal human person. I will say, and I can't remember, I'm blanking on her name as I'm thinking about it right now, but she would walk around. They would have an Ides of March. Like the Latin club would have like, they'd all come to school in togas, and they all had like their own like person that they were forced to like walk around and grab other students and tell them about their history and the Ides of March and stuff. And she would just walk around in the hallway, and she always went like to the 10th degree. So she would dress like a Roman emperor, and she would just walk the halls and she, beware the Ides of March. It was hilarious. But that's where I learned about the history of the Ides of March. And March is a pretty bad day. I'm going to give 2 shout outs as to why here a little bit later. But the first one we're going to talk about, Trent. Are you aware that we killed an ISIS leader yesterday?
No. I was busy.
Okay, let's talk about it. So ISIS, let's go here. So ISIS is bad. I think we can all agree on that. Like, there are some good people in the world and there are some bad people in the world, and the people at ISIS.
Wait. Didn't we get rid of ISIS? How did ISIS come back in the past, 4-ish years?
Okay, so let's talk about it. All right, so first of all, we made ISIS, thanks Obama. We funded a whole bunch of counter-revolutionaries and revolutionaries over in the Middle East a long time ago, in 2010 to 2014, and then poof, we made ISIS because of the vacuum that we created in the Middle East by removing Saddam. We removed Saddam, we removed Gaddafi. We just recently removed Assad from Syria, right? And there's always the lesser of two evils. And when you have a power vacuum like that, you actually go, oh no, turns out the whole region was a little safer under all of these terrible dictators that we thought we had to depose. Like when we got rid of Saddam, that's where Iran really started making gains, because you know why? Saddam hated Iran and kept them in check the entire time he was over there. Assad, we just saw it, about a week and a half ago, the news started breaking that HTS, which is now, it's a long terrorist name, who is in charge now of Syria, essentially, because he stepped forward when we got rid of Assad in Syria. And they started slaughtering Christians. So there's a literal genocide going over, which never happened under Assad because he ran the country.
This is the only time we've ever done this, though, right? Created something that turned back around.
Hey, just don't look at Afghanistan, homie. Don't start looking into who made the Mujahideen and who made the Taliban, because the CIA is going to pop up, and that is going to be uncomfortable.
I'm sure this is the first time it's ever happened. Anyway,
Now,
sorry.
don't
They were
look at
slaughtering Christians. Yeah, I know.
The Bay of Pigs, totally organic. We didn't have any part in that. The Euromaidan revolution in 2014 in Ukraine, we did not have a hand in that. Don't you dare look that up. We're
Never
digressing.
heard of her. Yeah.
Never heard of her, homie. Well, this weekend, here's the reason why, and I kind of alluded to it being hilarious. We're gonna do the right thing first. Get out of here, team dog. I don't need you. I wish I'd figured out. Oh, there it is.
Well, that's Mike's thing, though. Come on.
What?
I think Team Dog is the Mike Ritland stuff.
I know. Yeah, I know. That's why I bought it. That's what
Okay.
the little puppy dog missed. She's gonna grow up to be 110 pounds. She's a big old animal. So we're gonna check this out. Little Kill TV.
If you're a YouTuber, you want to save hours managing your library.
Wait. This is a YouTube thing. How do we save we could save hours. Oh, sorry. Let's go.
Yeah, here we go. Gone. Now,
I'm providing the sound effects.
Yeah, thanks. The Islamic head of the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria has been killed in an airstrike. This guy's trade craft got a little bit weak. He accidentally got into the wrong car and then got schwacked for it. He did not do the switch car as he was appropriately supposed to. I'm going to find the picture that I want for it. Trent, what happens when you kill the leader of ISIS?
Oh, another one. Yeah. Yeah.
Why does that happen?
There's no such thing as killing the leader of an organization. Like, I think we all know that, unless that organization is like super, unless nobody wants to take charge or it's super fractured already. Like, I don't know why we're always trying to cut the head off the snake. It doesn't really do anything.
It doesn't really do anything, and I can't find this one specific image that I'm trying to find now. So I'll basically
talk. Is it a hydra?
It isn't a hydra. What it is? Let's see. I gotta Google foot here. I did a bad job of bringing it up.
So the way that this works, right, is you get this like person that let's assume that they're a terrible and brutal person, right? That creates or takes charge of this organization. Now, in order to work for this person, to be like their number 2 or number 3, and to deal with this homicidal, sociopath that is your boss, you have to be even more of a homicidal sociopath to work for this person to survive in that environment, right? And to think through things the way that in order for your own survival and also to make this person proud of you as your boss. Now, when that person dies and you take charge, it's very rare that the next person that comes up to take the crown, the mantle, the throne, is a lesser version than the person that we just took out with that airstrike.
100%. 100%. Like, business is what the business is. And by the way, ISIS is still just a business, right? So everybody's trying to get to the next job. They're trying to promote up. That young, hungry lion is sitting there waiting in the wings, just like, oh man, I'm even more extreme than my boss. I can't wait until he gets killed in his car for doing it. I found the exact pic that I wanted. So this is how back we are. Okay. So Trump murked this dude from the golf course wearing a signed "Make America Great Again" hat with an old school headphone. And imagine I imagine Trump's out there golfing with RFK. He's golfing with Bobby Kennedy. They hit the turn and Trump's like, I gotta do something. And RFK is like, you're not allowed to have hot dogs. I told you have to eat a salad.
Stop drinking Diet Coke.
Stop drinking. I love he turned into a little bit of a robot there. But Trump was like, hey, dog, hold on. I just got to go in here real quick. Look at this. He's looking at the
that's
videos.
A great picture.
It is a fantastic set of optics. This man will take, there's Marco Rubio. This man will take a break from probably hitting a very good golf round to fucking murder you for being the head of ISIS. We are so freaking back, baby. Like,
and whoever's doing his hair, they're on point again. Because for a while,
it was a little bit, yeah.
The people that do the Trump, the face and his hair and all that other stuff, man, if they're off like 1 degree, stuff goes bad really quickly.
It does go bad. It goes bad super quickly, and you don't want to have to deal with it. But man, this is just American strength. Peace through strength, projection of power. Listen, Trump very famously was at a dinner, and he was at dinner with world leaders, and it was when he killed Soleimani. So he came back. Soleimani was killed with the RX-9 too, by the way. So if you guys aren't tracking, we have Hellfires that basically they're not kinetic. Well, they are kinetic because it's physics, but when they get close to target, they basically have like, I think 9. I think that's why it's the RX-9. They have 9 essentially steel katanas that pop out, and it just shreds everything. So there's no high order explosion. Soleimani's car was on fire, but it's because it set the car on fire. But it's basically just a missile that is going like Mach 17 that just hits you with 9 like 6 foot long katana blades, and it just shreds you,
liquefies you. Yeah.
So he murks Soleimani, and he's at dinner, and he sits down with a world leader, most notably before they have chocolate cake, and he goes, "Hey, I just killed Soleimani. I just want that to be a lesson to you that if you ever fuck with us, I'm going to level you first. I'm going to hit China. I am going to hit Russia. I'm going to hit you in your home." And then he just calmly went and had chocolate cake. Like, it's one of my favorite Trump stories of all times. Like, that is the fuck around and find out administration. And as the leader of ISIS knows, he found out. And I'm here for it.
I mean, that is one good thing. The next guy that takes the reins is going to be like, well, I got a target on me. So you can't go out there and do your press conferences the way that you used to. You have to be super, super careful. But yeah, I love that one when Soleimani got killed. However, it was like, oh, they said it was a Hellfire strike. And it doesn't, the people are showing the picture and everybody's like, that's not a Hellfire strike. Yep.
We got stuff to kill you that's how great America is we have we're so prosperous. We have so much time that we have, our scientists and stuff are not like worrying about where their next meal is going to come from. That's why Iran, North Korea, that's why these people don't have a nuclear program. It's because we keep bombing them for it. But the other reason is because their lead scientists are always worried about getting schwacked on the way to work, either through, general instability or through us. But our scientists, we're so good. You don't have to worry about that. They're just driving into work, where they're East Coast somewhere working at DARPA. And they're like, hey, I want to stab this guy, but I want to do it from like 35 nautical miles away. How do I do that? And then it's like the guy that invented the flamethrower. What an unhinged guy.
Oh, what a psychopath. Yeah.
Hey guys, I want to set somebody on fire, but from like 25 feet away. And they're like, boy, do I have a thing for you, bro.
Can we put it in a tank? That would be rad.
Can it be man-packable? Can we have one guy that just runs around and his whole job is just to set people on fire in tunnels and stuff? And the military-industrial complex is like, I got you, fam.
Dude, there are like
say less.
Hundreds of like genius guys on the spectrum that wear ties every day to work, that go home to their wives and their kids, and they're totally normal. And when they get to work, they sit down and they go, how do we kill people more effectively? And they get after those problems, and then they get in their Priuses and they drive home. They do in the greater Washington D.C. suburban area,
in the DMV, the DC Metro Virginia area, DC, Maryland, and Virginia colloquially has a couple different names. Number 1, Chocolate City. It's my favorite name ever. What's up? Shout out Chocolate City. Number 2, DMV. It just talks about the 3 people there, but yeah, the millions of government employees. Like I imagine these scientists are driving home to like Manassas or to like, somewhere in Virginia, like the world's most livable community. They live in Tyson's Corners.
Yeah.
And they're like, what'd you do at work today? Well, I posted on my LinkedIn how much I hate Trump. And then I made this missile that'll stab you with a katana from an airplane. I'm like, tight, dog. How's all that working out for you? Seems.
Yeah, I actually, this is sort of a par 3. That's what I was asking, bro. Jeez, this guy's weird.
So it is somewhere else on that golf course. Trump's like, I'm gonna kill him. You gotta get. I've got a hot round going. I'm 2 under. I gotta hit this turn. Oh, hilarious! It'd be funny if they were actually on the same golf course, as long as there wasn't, like an assassin that we didn't know anything about that went to Fort Bragg 100 times and lived in Ukraine and it didn't have any money yet, took a whole bunch of plane flights to Hawaii and somehow got a Chinese SKS and was laying in a sniper position 140 meters away, and we never heard anything about that guy again. So hopefully it's not that golf course, but
can I say that the whole Bragg thing is weird? The Bragg, Benning.
Yeah.
Like, I get that we wanted to change the names back, but like finding a different person to name it after. I mean, and part of me is just like, we're just wasting more money, guys. Changing the signs and all that other crap again.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's one of those things where like the populace is like, yay, we got Bragg back. And I'm like, God, yeah, but how much? Because we complained about how much money it cost to change the names the first time around. And granted, if Doge is doing their job, there should be a lot of money in the coffers to do silly things, right?
Oh yeah.
But that's a swing and a miss for me. You know, at least on the list of priorities, that's a swing and a miss.
Well, the priorities is always the things, right? Like the priorities is 100%. You're like, okay, what exactly are we prioritizing here? Let's take a quick look at Doge and see how much we save. Do we have money to do this? Oh, we've already saved $714 per American taxpayer, $115 billion, and that thing is continuing at pace. They haven't even gotten all the way through the DoD yet. You can see right here, $115 billion saved. Good job, Doge. Continue. But priorities, I'd like the priorities. That'd be good.
I mean, I get it that there's a lot of feelings around it, and those are the people that voted for you and all that other stuff. But it's a me problem. It's just a Trent problem, guys. If you like it, if you're excited about it, be excited about it. Right. Don't let me rain on your parade today. We're being happy and light today. Sorry. Let's move forward. ISIS guy dead.
Speaking of happy and light and terrible things that have happened on March 15th, like let's talk about something that's actually relevant to the career field. So I was actually going to make my own video on this yesterday, and I'll pull the curtain back on this one. You guys may notice that we don't post a whole lot. Like there are terrible times throughout the year. March is a terrible time for the rescue community. June is another tough month for the rescue community. We have something basically, if you look every single year, March, we lost just in March off the top of my head. We're going to talk about the Jolly 5-1 crash here in a second that happened on March 15th. But on March 3rd, we lost pararescueman Jason Cunningham, famously in the Tacker Gar scenario. There have been, for whatever reason, March every year for us is a terrible year. And I was thinking yesterday, I was like, I'm going to go on, I'm going to record this little message about Jolly 5-1. And then just because the internet is the way the internet is, there's a reason why we don't post these things, because the feedback we got in the early days is like, oh, these guys are just using dead people to increase their clout. And that has always stuck with us just as a organization, company. I don't know what we call ourselves here as like three dudes that run this podcast. It's something that we all value. We all talk about it all the time, but we don't necessarily put it out. So yesterday, as I was thinking about these things, I was like, the last thing that I want to do is have somebody hop up in the comments and be like, oh, Aaron is just aggrandizing himself by talking about this thing, because that's the way the internet works, everybody. But you know what? I figure we could talk about it here. So
yeah, there's not too many things that we take real personal, right? But like, I don't know. For me, it's hard because it's such a personal thing. Especially if you knew the guys and being a part of the community. So putting it out there is just, it can be different.
It's tough. Yeah, it's tough. It's different. And we always try to find the right way to do it. And, yesterday I struggled with it on my own, but, I still talk. Mark Weber, we're going to talk about him here in a second. So when I got to the schoolhouse, I only did one class. Like normally as you go as an instructor, you get to run a couple classes as proctor. But me, I went in immediately as a flight chief and then fleeted up pretty soon after that to the director of training, which is not like a day-to-day instructional position. And then I went to the ops suite of the schoolhouse. So basically for me to run a class and for me to understand what the line instructors go through, I only got to do one class. Well, Mark Weber, Crow, he was actually the only Crow on that team. No, he was the senior Crow on that team. So he was my student. I interacted with him because he was the OIC of the team. I interacted with him a whole lot. And this was actually his first deployment. So March 28th, 2018 is when this was posted. But on March 15th, two ship, Jolly 5-1 and I believe Jolly 5-2, took off from northern Iraq. They were doing a normal movement and training mission, and unfortunately a navigational error. Basically what happened is that the pilots were not aware of some lines, some power lines that were in their flight path and it was at night. They were under nods. And as they were maneuvering, unfortunately, Jolly 5-1 struck these lines and was brought down. Soldiers and airmen paid homage to the 7 men who died March 15th in an HH-60 Payfop helicopter crash in western Iraq. The cause of the crash is still under investigation. And here's the reason why I've decided to talk about this. You die 2 times in the world. You die the first time that you leave this world, when your soul leaves your body and unfortunately you're not alive anymore. And then the second time you die is when people stop saying your name out loud and people have forgotten you. And after talking with Mark's mom yesterday, I'm still in regular contact. Margaret, she's awesome. She's amazing. And I promised her when I talked to her, because I was close with Mark. I met them at graduation. I met his whole family. And, I talked to her after this happened because obviously I was close to Mark. And she reached out to me at the schoolhouse. for stories and some other stuff. And I promised her that I would not let Mark's memory die. And for that, I'm going to have to put my own feelings aside. So the crew of Jolly 5-1 was Captain Mark Weber. He was from the 38th Rescue Squadron, Moody Air Force Base, Georgia. I'm going to tell some funny stories about Mark here because that's how we remember our friends. Captain Andres B. O'Keefe is 106 Rescue Wing, Francis Gabreski Air National Guard Base, New York. So the helicopters were from New York, and the rescue team was from Moody and a couple from the 308th. So those are the dudes down in Cocoa Beach, Florida. Captain Christopher Zanitas, 106 Rescue Wing. Master Sergeant Christopher J. Raguso from the 106th. Staff Sergeant Deshaun J. Briggs, 106 Rescue Wing. Master Sergeant William R. Posh, he went by Pikey. He's from the 308th. And then Staff Sergeant Carl P. Ennis from the 308th as well. We lost 7 on that one. Mark is one of the few crows that has died. There was Joel Gentz, and then there was Mark Weber. Joel Gentz died on the crash of Pedro 6-6. That was in June of 2010. And then March 15th, 2018. I was actually running the malts. This is another reason why my marches typically suck. The year before we did the malts challenge, I was in the gym and I got a really weird call from one of my friends. And he was just like, "Hey man, I don't know if you saw the news, but I'm okay. I'm in Bethesda." And he was Justin was a Army 18 Delta. He was on his second deployment. And I was like, "That's really weird." So I called him and his dad answered the phone. And I was like, this isn't good. Justin is supposed to be deployed. So basically what happened is on his second patrol, on his second deployment, they were doing they were driving through an area, patrol to contact, normal stuff, which means you get in a truck and you drive, you wait for somebody to shoot at you, then you kill them for it. Justin dismounted his vehicle, walked about 2 steps, and he ended up stepping on a tank mine. This caused him to be a double amputee. So double below the knee amputee, almost killed him. Obviously a host of other injuries. He spent a lot of time there. But I got that call a year beforehand, and that was in my head as we're, doing this malts workout. We even talked about, Justin at that point, because I was literally mid workout and Justin was finally backing up and walking around thanks to prosthetics and stuff like that a year later. And then no kidding, during this event again on March 15th, we get the news that Jolly 5-1 had went down. This is tough anytime in the rescue community. That we're small, right? So the numbers are out there. Combat controllers, there's only a couple hundred. PJs, there's only a couple hundred active duty and a bunch more in the Guard and Reserve. And these were Guard and Reserve guys, like Guard and Reserve crews. Mark was the only active duty guy out there. The 106 and the 308 were filling in on that deployment. And it was just tough, man. Like when you lose 3 PJs, think about losing 1% of your career field. Think about losing 100 Green Berets. Think about losing 100 Navy SEALs. When Extortion went down, Extortion 1-7, they lost an entire squadron. And there were 3 Air Force members on there, John Brown, Dan Zerby, and Andy Arvell. When you lose that much of a chunk of your career field, like it hurts. It hurts everybody. Bill Posh, Pikey, I jumped with him a couple times. Like we ran across each other during our careers. He was just one of those dudes that like made you want to be a better guy. Like when you were around him, you're like, oh my God, you're in shape. You look good. Like you look like a pararescueman. You're a damn good operator. Like everybody's like, man, I want to be a PJ like Pikey. But he was just such a good man that you literally sit around him and he like he was the nicest dude. No fault. Like he'd joke, he'd bust balls. He was hilarious. And man,
those are the worst.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, it made you look internally and be like, good Lord, I got work to do. Look at what this guy's doing in his life and leading and being an operator and all these other things. And Carl P. Ennis was the same way. Like he was a younger dude. I believe it was his first deployment out of Cocoa as well. Like those guys were just lions, man. Like they were just absolutely unreal. The funniest story I could tell about Mark, because that's how we honor our friends, is we tell funny stories about him. So he's a student. So Mark was like 6'2", right? So he's this big lanky guy and he was a pretty chill dude. One funny story is he brings me this pack of paperwork one day and he puts it down and it was missed meals for, being out at a field thing, right? Like there is a way when you're because the military has a form for everything, right? If you are in the field and you can't get to the DFAC, there is a rule that says that you're allowed to ask your organization, at this time, the schoolhouse, to pay you back for those missed meals, because you're on a meal card. You're supposed to be able to use that meal card at the DFAC. If you can't use that card at the DFAC and then the government doesn't provide you with food for said event, you're allowed to claim mixed meals. So they basically went for these really long training days. Like they went through the entirety of their course and they were like, well, this is a long jump day and we really didn't have time for lunch. So they put everything down and he slides this pack of paperwork and it's like all the officers and everybody that like officers and NCOs that qualify for the rules. And I started flipping through it and I just kind of look at him. I'm like, hey, Cap, now listen, this is a good try. You understand this probably isn't going to happen, right? And he just, because I mean, some dudes were getting like $4,000 each. And I mean, there was a bunch of dudes. I mean, it was like a $40,000 packet, right? So yes. I look at him and I'm like, listen, I get it. I was like, who put this together? And he, like one of the young lieutenants on the team that knew, but he was a Mustang. He was a good dude. Mitch. What's up, Mitch? So Mitch was a prior PJ and just a grifter, as all good enlisted dudes are. And he knew the rule and he was like, whatever. So I look at Mark Weber and I say, hey, Cap, did you put this together? And he's like, and he just kind of smiled and he goes, listen, if the guys care about it, I got to care about it. I got to bring it to you. And I was
don't you use that against me?
Don't you use those words against me, Mark Weber? He freaking crushed. And we just
play, yeah.
I was like, you know what? I'm going to submit. And by the way, they ended up getting it.
Nice.
I submitted that. I was like, listen, I'll take it up. I was like, you use my own words against me there, because that's what I would say during our talks when I would try to mentor him as a young crow. That's what I was supposed to do as a senior NCO. And I was like, listen, I'm going to put this in. I can't say. I was like, but you made your case. The other funny story that I have about Mark is probably the funniest one. So we're in tactics, right? Everybody is away. Like we're in Magdalena, New Mexico. We're out in the middle of nowhere. You're doing these long, we're talking, 10K, 15K overland movements. You're doing survival, evasion, resistance, and escape exercises. You're doing everything, right? So we're there and, the guys are out patrolling. It's completely dark. Everybody's under nods and, we're walking around. I'm in the instructional capability, myself and another instructor, and we're about ready to start a contact. So we're going to have people that are firing blanks, but we want people to react to this contact as they're walking through. So I'm walking right in Mark's hip pocket. And the mass casualty producing weapon, so it was a 249 or a 240 with blank adapters on, so it's loud, right? This thing opens up and it's super close at night, right? Like it wouldn't happen in this way. Like you'd never be able to walk within 25 meters of a machine gun position and not know it, right? Like, but it's training, so it is what we have to do. So this 240 just starts barking over, where the team was, and they start going into contact. Well, we have things called ground burst simulators. And basically what they are is they're a little tube and they're like this big. They got a little string on them and you pull it and there's a fuse and then you throw that bad boy and some of them whistle to sound like they're incoming. And some of them are just explosions. Some of them are just loud bangs, right? And they'll white out your NVGs and they are, if you stand next to them, you will get they will kick rocks. They're powerful. Like they're stronger than an M80. They're no joke. So the idea here was that there was a machine gun over on, let's call it the northeast side of the formation. We wanted to push them to the southeast, reorganize, or to the southwest, and then reorganize, and then take that machine gun position by conducting a near ambush. It's your standard battle drill, react to contact, battle drill 4, near ambush. So that's what we wanted to see. So we were going to initiate with the 240, and then we were going to throw these ground burst simulators to push the team away. Well, in the confusion of battle, when you have peltors on, you can't really tell direction very well, especially when things are very loud. So I'm behind Mark and I have this ground burst simulator and I take it and I load it. I have the string in my hand and I'm ready to pull it. And as soon as this thing, because I'm on a different radio freak and I can hear the actual ambush getting set up. So we're like 3, 2, 1, initiate. They start off with the 240. I pull this thing. And as soon as I go to throw it towards the machine gun, right? Because we want to push them the other way. Well, Mark didn't know where the machine gun fire was coming from. He heard somebody call contact over his back left shoulder if he's traveling north. So he hears contact, and then he hears guns start firing over this way, and he assumed everything had to be that way. So at the very same time that I pull this string and then I throw this little lazy throw over there, it was like I was an NFL quarterback throwing my receiver open. He hadn't started his route yet, but it was as if I knew right where Mark was going to run. And as soon as I let it go, he breaks off in a dead sprint. This is like crystallized in my mind. I can see Mark under NVGs, his big tall self, wearing a ruck, running towards right where I just threw that thing. And I was like, I just saw my life flash before my eyes. I was like,
I'm about to kill a crow. Sorry.
I did what every enlisted man has wanted to do since 2001, which is kill their crow. So
it's a joke.
It's a joke. I'm not calling for violence on all officers, just some of them. So he starts running, and I'm just like, oh no, and it's happening in slow motion. And literally, as he is about to take his final step towards this thing, it goes off and just goes, and he just ate this whole percussion. He was wearing all of his protective gear. He had iPro on, he had his helmet on, he had his vest on, like he had all these things, but it just spun him around like a top. So he was going to do it. Well, then he starts trying to run back. Like I'm going over to like check on him to see if he's okay. And he goes to run back. Well, he had run through a little, just a little dip, right? Like a little 2-meter dip. Well, as he turned around and started sprinting back, when you take a step off of a stair that doesn't exist at night and your foot just goes into like the abyss and you're like, oh no. Well, he did that at a full sprint wearing half of his body weight in heavy tactical gear. And he stepped into that
already
abyss.
Disoriented.
Oh my God. Yeah. He takes this shot that just turns him around, and then he goes to walk the other way, and he just falls literally into the upswing of the little trough that he just tried to sprint across. And he absolutely eats shit on that other side. I literally went over, and as he's like dusting himself off, I pick him up and I grabbed him by his chest rig because he's a little bit taller than me. But I distinctly remember like grabbing his chest rig and moving his knobs out of the way and pulling him into me and being like, hey, sir, are you okay? He's like, yeah, Sergeant, we just got to get over. And he's trying to explain to me in this scenario. And I literally shook him like a child. I was like, whoa, hey, Mark, are you okay? And he was like, that's pretty intense, dude.
Yeah. No, this is a Mark and Aaron conversation real quick. Like
real quick. It was everything. I was like, do you understand the term academic situation? Like I was trying to get through to this guy because he's just in a fight, dude. Like he's like, man, I just had an explosion like a foot and a half away from me. And I just like racked my head on the ground.
His
like
first tinnitus experience.
I literally just like I just grabbed him. I was like, hey, let's just walk over here, me and you. And then I walked him in because the contact is still ongoing, right? Like his team is doing what they're supposed to do. So I like literally walk him over to like a safe spot. I was like, hey, just take a knee. Let's talk for a couple minutes and make sure that you're okay. Mark at his graduation, I basically roasted the team. I said something funny. This is a pararescue piece of history too. Like usually like when your instructors would call you up, like there was a long tradition of the instructors roasting you, like there was, one guy that was on our team, wasn't not on our team, but he had a pretty bad temper problem in the pipeline, and somebody brought him up and the instructor was like, here's this guy. And I won't put his name out there because I'm sure he's better in his career now than he was then, but he was like bad attitude, worse medicine, still a PJ. I was like, but that was like the level of roasting that you would get in front of your family members after this 2-year pipeline, as some instructor would make fun of you in front of your mom and dad. It was pretty funny. But for Mark, I brought that tradition back, and, I said that Mark's athletic ability could best be described as a baby giraffe on roller skates. And everybody kind of chuckled. And I was like, I actually got a call from a baby giraffe that had roller skates. And he said, and I quote, "How dare you? I'm more athletic than that." So, but March 15th, 2018 happens, and I can't help but have those things in my head, right? Like who Mark was, like even in physical danger, the only thing he cared about, his first reaction when he was completely out of it, his first reaction was, I got to lead the team. I got to protect the team. We're in the middle of something right now. Even completely out of it after an instructor, me, almost killed him with a ground burst simulator and hitting his head on the ground and he had a cut. Your classic, cut from your NVGs as they impale into your face when you take a fall, which everybody's done, bleeding, completely out of it, bell rung. He can't hear anything. And his first reaction was like, hey, Sarge, I got to go over here and we got to handle this threat. Like, that's who Mark was as a person. He was a man of God. He was, extremely good person. And, to hear Mark and Pikey and Carl P. Ennis and the rest of the air crew who died, it was a tough one. But that's March 15th, baby. And that sucks. But, if we don't tell these stories about them, if we don't talk about these good things about our friends, if we don't tell these stories and have those times, and I think there's a right way to do it where it doesn't seem like you're aggrandizing yourself to talk about these people, which is, again, why we don't post a whole lot of stuff. But, man, unless you tell these stories and unless you talk about those times, then those people really will die. They'll fade from history and they'll stop talking. But as long as I have a platform, that ain't gonna happen today.
Peaches and I were actually talking about the dangers of platforming someone like you, and you might get kicked off the podcast pretty soon.
I get that.
Platforming.
How dare you? How dare you have a conversation with somebody and you platform them in such a way? I can't believe it.
So dumb.
The other thing I wanted to talk about, just as an update, so we'll button it up. Jolly 5-1, man, we miss you guys every single year. But that's what this community really is. Is this community, like, I was talking to somebody about it. I posted. I try not to even post really on March 15th, really, because it really is just a day. Like, it sucks. Like, every time that March rolls around, I just start thinking about shit, man. Like, I got a lot of trauma in this month, and it just is what it is. But, I post, beware the Ides of March, and Aaron Love Hate Club hits me up and he's just like, hey man, what's up? Should I be short in the market or something? Something that I don't. And we had a brief talk about it, but I think the thing that I said to him directly was like, I'm kind of thinking about my boys in this time, and I'm trying to work my way through, what's the right way to honor them and what's not. And I just got to this point, like, listen, man, like, he was my O. We talked about it on our officer episodes. It was my job to protect him. Like, I really did take heart. And, all those guys that graduated off of 16004, which was my only course that I instructed, right? So, Mark graduated the last class of 16, and in the beginning of, 2018, he unfortunately lost his life on, I think it was his first combat deployment to Iraq. Like, obviously I connect with that, but, I was telling the old ALHC, protecting the officer and making sure that guy is okay. It doesn't stop when they get out, and it doesn't stop when they die. Like, I told his mom that I was always going to be here for her and his family, and make sure that they understand who Mark was, and that the rescue community, I can't speak for the entire rescue community. And if you took a poll, I think they'd probably vote that I wasn't allowed to, but tough shit. I made it through INDOC and I got the beret, so I'll do whatever I want.
Still a PJ.
Still a PJ. Yeah. C's get degrees, baby. That 70%, I just rode that line the entire time. And then I got a podcast before you nerds did, so I'll say what I want.
We're gonna make a shirt that's only for you. We're only gonna make one, and it's just gonna say "Still a PJ."
Still a PJ. So, yeah, you deal with it. Your problems are really you problems that you're just projecting onto me anyway. I still want that shirt that says "anti-social media influencer." I think that's a great shirt.
Yeah,
it's great. I would wear that shirt probably. Meh, don't you? We're brainstorming. No bad ideas.
Meh. Oh, there's bad ideas out there. Trust me.
There is bad ideas. But yeah, I'll tell you what, man. It's one of those things where, maybe it is a me problem. But just because Mark's gone, just because Pikey's gone, just because Carl P. Ennis is gone, man, that doesn't mean that we stop supporting them. It doesn't mean that we stop talking about them. It doesn't mean that we let them fade off into history. That's not what we do here. So hopefully we did it the right way.
Yeah. Well, and I think one of the ways to view the fallen comrade situation, right? And the person that I envision during these things, and here's the thing, like, to start off, they're real people. They're not
right.
They're not this heroic picture that gets posted ever. And they were heroic people, but they were also people, right? And so when I think of it as like anytime I start feeling bad for, or feeling a certain way about the friends that are not here with us anymore, I picture Matt Rowland grabbing me and pulling me down to his level and punching me in the face and saying some very interesting words to me and telling me to go live my life because he's an adult. He knew what he was doing. Like, thank you. Like, obviously they want to be remembered, but it's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, get out there and do the stuff and do the things, with both lips totally filled with tobacco,
100%.
Like
just two big horseshoes.
Lower lipper. Yeah. Like,
Well, that's like, those guys like Mike Maltz. Mike Maltz was a legend in the career field. Also not the nicest guy. Like he would literally, yeah, I know, crazy. Like he was notorious for his physical fitness, even as an older dude. So, you would walk into the 58th Rescue Squadron and Mike Maltz would just look at you. He would literally size you up and be like, nah, I'm not going to make it. And then he would proceed to smoke you at PT. And he'd get done and he'd look at you and be like, told you, you're not ready for this. And you would just be like, oh, crap.
Am I not ready for this?
Right. But Mike Maltz, I mean, crazy good PJ, just another one of those legends in the career field, but a real person with real stories. And if you can put yourself, it's called Sonder is the term for it. But when you realize that every single person that you talk to has a life that's as rich and as complex and as insecure and as fearful as yours, when you realize that person, like imagine all the scripts that you have running in your head when you go lay down at night at 3 o'clock in the morning and you're just thinking about cringy stuff that you've done over the course of your, like you're having one of those moments where you're just like, oh my God, I'm the biggest douchebag. Guess what? Mike Maltz did that too. Mike Maltz went to sleep one night and was like, I'm not good enough. I'm not in good enough shape. These guys look up to me and I'm not being the best that I can be. Like all these people do that. Like, yes, they've done heroic things. And, old Rob Gutierrez, living Air Force crosswinner, should have got the Medal of Honor. Trent, you were at his retirement. What did you see during the retirement of a true war hero? And now, full disclosure, we're good friends with Goot. Goot calls me on the phone, and my wife famously, he's notorious for cold calling you. Yeah. Like here's a fun story about Goot is he will just cold call you, and it gives me such anxiety. When I see that message come up on my phone and it's Rob Gutierrez, the first time Tara ever saw it, I look at the phone and I was like, oh no. And she goes, you better answer that phone call. He's a war hero. I was like, okay, yeah, he is.
I like how our wives are totally into it too. Like, you better answer it. I mean, I get the war hero joke all the time. Yeah.
You better, that man is a war hero. He is a hero of war. You better answer that phone. How was his retirement?
Dude, it was good. It was intense, like there's so many people there. So I feel bad because I don't think I spent enough time talking to all the people. It was a reunion, so
of course, right.
Everybody is there, and you're looking around and, it was amazing. Rob gave a great speech, JN, sent him off in style. It was at the Alamo, which is wild. And,
hell yeah. I'll tell you, Rob is a great American. People don't know this. Or maybe they do. They just don't understand the depths. That dude is an American citizen. That guy, like to do it at the Alamo, that's a flex. That's a big flex.
Dude, we did memorial push-ups in front of so we're in the courtyard, right, for the entire ceremony, and it was amazing. And then Rob drags us all out to the front of the Alamo, where all the tourists are, and everybody clears out a little space for us right in front of it, drops us down, knocks out memorial push-ups. Like all the tourists are like, everybody's in their blues,
bunch of uniforms, just loud. The funniest thing about the Alamo is that like you can just walk literally right across the street and go to Fuddruckers immediately afterwards. People think the Alamo is like some protected thing. No, it's like one city block in downtown San Antonio, right by the Riverwalk. We used to take all the greatest team pictures were in front of the Alamo. Like when you graduated in dock, you would take the log and the boats and stuff, and you'd stand there in your short shorts, and everybody's just jacked because they've been at Air Force Fat Camp for 10 weeks. That's great.
It was good though. We had I do want to talk about Nick, who you've met, the 18 Bravo from the deployment where GZ and I met. He was there.
Yep.
And there was so little space in front of the Alamo. I was actually doing push-ups on his like cowboy boots. Which
hell yeah, that guy's a killer too.
I wasn't doing full push-ups because Nick doesn't have the smallest, and he was in boots. So like I'm like dropping onto his feet, and everybody's like trying to move their feet around and like not getting everybody's way, but like it was a good time.
The instructor in you is like, get some space, 0, 0, 0, do them together.
I was yelling at myself, yeah. But it was good because like it's one of those things, and somebody explained to me one time, like retirements, weddings, all these other things. Those are times when you get together and it is a culmination of the future, past, and present all at the same time. And so you see all these dudes that you looked up to. You see all these guys that are coming in, as the next generation that are there. And everybody that was in like the same generation as GZ, and seeing where everybody's at. Like it's a great thing, but it forces you to reflect. Like when we got home, my wife and I were like, I'm kind of in a weird mood because like it's kind of like taking 20 years together, the GWAT generation of folks that kind of joined at the beginning of it and it ended and we all retired, and kind of those like shoving into one singular moment at the Alamo, you know, for like one of our very good friends, like friend of the family types. And seeing like the impact that he's made on the other people, because it's easy to forget sometimes, right? Like you said, Rob cold calls everybody, you know,
Right.
and we just
Yeah.
we're just friends. And then, but like, it was nice to be able to step back and be like, hey, like, no, you did amazing things. You also made it back into the Air Force. You kept doing amazing things. Like, you had some ups and downs, just like every other person in the world. But it would have been real easy for someone like him to just be like, I'm just going to take the med board out and rest on my laurels for the rest of my life. And that's absolutely not who he is. And that's not what he did.
Well, the other thing he could have done, he could have stayed in the Air Force as long as he wanted. They would have let him stay in the Air Force. And he's like, you know, to his credit, and he said this, you know, directly to me before. I'm sure he said it to other people, so I'm not putting anything out. But he's like, listen, man, you got to get out of the way. You got to get out of the way of these young folks. They're going in a new direction. And, you know, I agree with a lot of it. I disagree with some of it. But, you know, you got to get out of the way. That's what old dudes are supposed to do. They're supposed to set the table for everybody and be like, okay, you guys got it? I'm out. You know, so to his credit, it was one of those things where Rob was just like, you know what? Time to go. Let's get everybody together. Let's have one blowout and we'll get out of here. And by all the pictures and all of the stuff that we saw, thanks to Affit for not getting that invite out earlier so we could all plan for it. Shout out. You guys did great by a living Air Force Cross winner that should have won the Medal of Honor. But anyway, I guess we'll leave that to the AAR.
I mean, when they put it out into the system that was still running off of 1980s computer technology, it didn't work correctly. That's wild.
Absolutely.
And then they didn't notice for weeks.
Absolutely wild. Absolutely wild. Well, at least he didn't get a retirement cert that was dated February 30th, like one of those that I got, which was pretty tight. They were like, yeah, congratulations on your retirement, February 30th. And it was all signed. It went through like everybody and nobody. I was like, oh,
it's perfect.
Good job, guys. I'll celebrate this anniversary every year on the exact date.
They're about to call you and be like, hey, you're actually still in.
Yeah.
So
that was, yeah, you were supposed to catch that. Congratulations. You're coming back on active duty. Miss me, dog. That's not the only thing.
They don't want that.
They don't want that. That's not the only thing that we recently got up to. I know that Peaches and Chris Thomas talked about the Guardian Grit training event, the OTS, that we just recently had, but you and I were there as well, Trenton.
Well, everybody knows that you were there. There's the, let's make it uncomfortable. There's the very great video of you without your shirt on. You've been getting lean. It's okay. You know, you're 40-something years old. You're working your ass off to look the way that you look. It's okay for us to post that video and for people to, like, you know, turn you into an object.
If cringing could possibly power, you know, if we could turn cringe into a valuable power source right now, Vegas would not need their own internal power right now, because the cringiest. I joke about this, like I'll talk shit to Peaches and Trent, like in our group chat. I will send a picture of me at the gym and I'll just be like, you guys are fat. Look at this stuff. I'll just like send a pic of a veiny arm or something. Nothing makes me more uncomfortable than saying that in any unironic sense in public. Which, by the way, so I didn't know Peaches was filming that reel, right? But we get done, I turn around and Peaches is standing behind me, and he looks, he's like, bro, dude, you look so jacked. This reel is going to be so good. And I was like, can you do me a favor and delete that right now? Like, that is the last thing that I want, is for some people be like, oh, I knew Aaron was narcissistic. And he asked Peach, hey, Peaches, film this. I bet I look really good.
Check this out, bro. I'm going to flex my lats. I'm going to yell at these. I'm going to give really good instruction. That's what I'm doing.
All right. I'm sitting there like, okay, here's how we're going to set it up. Here's how I want you free.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's actually what happened. But the operator training summit, dude, it was awesome, man. I said it to the folks that showed up, but, you know, I'll say it for everybody that's out here listening. If you can get to one of these, I'm asking you personally to try to get to one of them, just because we get more out of it than you guys did. Like, I forgot how good it feels to instruct, to have people learn, to have people go, oh crap, you said this in a way that resonated with me and I was able to fix this problem I was having. Man, somebody asked me, you know, what was your most impactful assignment? Like, what was the assignment that you remember most? And, you know, the combat stuff is great. My time at the 58, my time at the 321st, my time at the 22, that stuff was amazing. All of those things were great. The deployments that I got out of it, amazing. The friendships I made. But my most impactful assignment was being an instructor down at the schoolhouse. It was teaching these people in what I thought the right way. When and that instructor staff, by the way, you know, you kind of alluded to it when you talked about all the folks that were in the, you know, that were at Goot's retirement, but you look around and you're like, everybody here has real world GWAT deployments in the darkest of times. Like guys were going to Iraq in 2005, guys were going to Afghanistan in 2007. Like no kidding, the Wild West times, you know, of both of those things. And when I was an instructor at the schoolhouse, I saw the same thing when I looked out into the instructor room. It wasn't like when I went through. Like when I went through in 2000, you know, 2007, I think I was, or 2008, I was at the schoolhouse. You know, there were some instructors that had gotten off the road and that decided like, okay, cool. And they had a deployment behind them. But the vast majority of instructors there, you know, it's a 4-year assignment. So a lot of those people were there from 2002 to 2004 timeframe. And they missed those early deployments. They missed those, you know, deployments where people were clocking, you know, Chris was talking about it. Yeah, exactly. Chris was talking about, you know, he went on a rotation that I turned him over on. When he got done with that rotation, he had 145 missions inside of a 4-month period. Like that's ridiculous. Like you look at PJs from 1980 to 2001, those guys didn't have 10 missions and he had 10 missions in a day. Like that's crazy to think about. But being an instructor and being around people that are just hungry and motivated to learn and everybody there, like I was just really impressed with the people that came out. The event I thought went great.
Most of them.
Most of them. I'm going to hit the group chat up and be like, hey, Trent gave you guys a shout out. I don't know which one he's talking about, but it could possibly be you.
They know. They know.
They know. What was your favorite part about the training summit?
Oh, you know, it's just being around young people again that are trying. It's good. You know, we get on here and scream into the void of the internet and say things that we hope are true and based on maybe experiences that are not, you know, relevant to today or not recent experiences. Mm-hmm. And so to go out there and get those recent experiences, and most of the stuff that we're saying is true. Like it's not, this next generation is not softer. This next generation is not inherently different. The problem with the next generation is our generation. And if we can do anything to fix that and to give them the tools that they need and tell them the hard truths that they need right now, and to help give them those experiences that are going to turn them into the people that are better than we are, which is absolutely what's going to happen. That's it. It's amazing, and that's what we're getting after. So, you know, it's good to be around the young folks that are motivated and see if you can see the light bulb go on a few times. And I told a bunch of them, I'm like, you know, a lot of this training that we're doing right now is for you to take back home. And 3 months from now, when you're in the pool and you're swimming, and you can feel your body gliding through the water, and you're doing everything the right way, and you're subsurface, and you get across the pool in, you know, 4 strokes, like that's when it's going to kick in. So this is like a little starting point. It's not the ending point. And you see them all like doing the up and downs and listening, and it's a good time. So hopefully we gave them some value. You know, we're doing our best, and that's what it's all about is like you said, setting up those that next generation for success, because that's our job.
100%. And the next one's coming up. I think we're almost settled. I think this is going to be a West Coast gig, West Coast, Best Coast. I think we're going to try San Diego. We're looking at the third week, like second or third weekend in June. We're going to get that out as soon as we possibly can. Let me put a little plug out for you. This course is not a smoke session. We're not going to bring you in and make you do log PT. We are not going to try to smoke you. There is not going to be a roster of people. And but like this, again, this is no shot to anybody else doing it. There's a ton of good events out there that you can go to get what we call those reach back moments, right? You get put into the hurt locker for hours and days on end, and you have that reach back moment to be like, hey, I did a hard thing. That's great. That's just not the focus of this course. Just
Which
like
is difficult at times, because while I might love these young people, every once in a while I just want to be like, I can fix this right now. I can fix this right now.
Right. Man, the point of the operator training summit is to give you the bare bones that you need. Like we spent, I don't know, an hour and a half learning to push off the wall. And you may think to yourself, well, I'm pushing off the wall just fine. No, you're not. We can give you the instruction. We can help you. You know, if you look at your normal pool session right now, as you go out and train, how many reps do you have at pushing off a wall? Imagine if when you push off the wall, and this happened during the summit, like we had people that, you know, 5 meters away from the wall is the flags, right? We had people that when we started off, and I had the low skill group, like I purposely took the 2 lanes of people that weren't really that good at swimming. We'd have people that their little heads were popping up before the 5 meter. And then after some time and some reps and explaining the actual mechanics of how you push off the wall and how do you streamline and how do you get so your mask doesn't come off your face, and what does that first pull look like? And when is that moment where I'm almost all the way slowed down and I need to initiate that first pull? By the time we even worked through that, we had people that were clearing the flags with their feet.
Yep.
Now, if you think about it, that's like 7.5 meters. If you're 2.5 meters past the flags are at 5 meters, that's roughly 15 feet. If you add another 2.5 meters to that, that's another 8 feet, 9 feet. You're already 7 to 10 meters through your underwater off of a push and a first pull. So now you're not doing a 25 meter underwater. You've done one pull and you're at 10 meters. Some people are getting out to 12 meters. You're almost halfway down off of one pull. That's what we can give you. And we break every single event down in the water and on land and the attributes. So we look at the holistic approach that we're focusing on, and we teach you how to develop those skills on your own. We give you the right way to do it so that then when you're training on your own, you're not doing things the wrong way. The overwhelming feedback that we got from people was like, holy crap, I've been wasting my time over 6 months doing this the wrong way. And then and that's the point, right? Self-coaching is always the point to any program. If you're working for a physical fitness program, the point is not for you to be on that program for the rest of your life. The point is for you to use that program to get to a new plateau and then figure it out for yourself and then make your own program and then do your own workouts and then know when you're doing it right, know when you're doing it wrong, and always do it right, right?
There were always those folks that showed up at the pipeline and you're like, you are hot garbage. They're like, I've been training for this for like 10 years. And I'm like,
you've been wasting your time.
Horrible.
But
You're that guy that's been pushing off the wall. Like, how many times have you done an underwater? I've done 8,000 underwaters. Like, well, they're all terrible.
You're wasting your energy. Your swimming sucks. You're picking your head too far up out of the water. You're not recovering. By the time you get back to the wall, it's nonsense. And when we hold you to this standard, because the standard is what the standard is, nothing's secret. Everything's out there. You can find every single event. You can find a YouTube video on every single event. We're going to hold you to that standard. And if you've been training wrong the entire time, then there's no expectation for you to be successful just magically when you show up at the Maltz Aquatic Training Center down in San Antonio, Texas. It just is what it is. So that's what the whole course is about. It's about giving you the knowledge and the wherewithal to conduct your training in the most efficient, most correct way that you possibly can, because that is going to do you way better than anything else. And of course, go out and hit a Hell Day event. Go out and hit a Go Ruck event. Go out and do an Ironman or a Tough Mudder or a Spartan race or do what. Great. That's awesome. You need those as well. But we're just coming from a different angle. We're coming from the Operator Training Summit is there for us to pour our experience into you as Trent's a master instructor. I'm a master instructor. Chris was an instructor supervisor. Peaches is an instructor through his time at the weapons school and in his leadership through the JTAC WIC program. Like, we are there to help you learn. We're not there to just smoke you. And as a matter of fact, there wasn't one smoke session the entire time. I hate to tell people that. Doesn't mean there won't be. Yeah, it is. It is tempting. But it was awesome. Yeah. So keep your calendars open. We'll get the promo out there soon. It looks like San Diego. I think that's the one it's going to be. And I think it's going to be second or third weekend in June. That's what we got for right now. But it'll be the whole squad. We'll be out there. I hope you guys come out.
Waiting for San Diego to secede from California. You know what I mean? Just San Diego, Central Valley,
Huntington Valley,
Eastern California.
Everything south of San Francisco, baby. San Francisco, really Northern Cali. Somebody said that California should have two governors. Like they should split it up like Northern Cali and Southern Cali because they're so different. They have such different things. Like in the South, you have the desert, and then obviously, LA and all the movie industry and all the concerns with, LA and wildfires and stuff. And then Northern Cali is like a different planet comparatively. Both,
it should just be like a backward C from Northern California all the way down the eastern part of California and then back down, capture San Diego.
Right.
The rest of it might be pretty. It's fine. I love you guys. Some of my favorite places to visit in the world are in that area, but like, just do your own thing. If you're going to destroy it.
Yep. And this one I want to end on. I just want to say thanks. So I'm going to grab it. I don't know if you've noticed this sweet freaking Mad Cat picture that I have back here. Man, I want to say shout out to my boy Ryan. This thing is absolutely gorgeous. So you can see down here, it says, for living by the code. So this is actually the author of the Pararescue coloring book that I have behind me. We're going to put the stuff in the show notes. I want you guys, there's a couple more of them. Green Light Go is another coloring book for kids. There's a Pararescue coloring book, volume 2. I'll make sure to get all that stuff out there. But we promoted it. We put it out because it's awesome. It's a PJ that made a coloring book for kids, which is super, super legit. But Ryan was nice enough. This is a 101. The Mad Cat, like for you guys that aren't getting it, from the story, the Cheshire Cat is a big unofficial, might even be official at this point, kind of unofficial mascot for pararescuemen. And the schoolhouse instructors had an old patch, and it was a Cheshire Cat, and it was just a smile, and it was "We're all mad here," you know. And the pararescue community, I mean, the Cheshire Cat, it appears out of nowhere, provided immense value, and poof, he was gone, and all you saw left was that smile. That's why the Cheshire Cat has such a place in our career field. And he was nice enough to do that. It's an amazing piece of artwork, Ryan. I just want to say thanks. We're going to get the pararescue coloring books out there, and we'll get some good promo out for you there too, because I hope it makes $1 bajillion, because it's awesome.
The SR coloring books are just blank pages.
Because they're irrelevant.
Because you never tell us what they do, bro. Like, I've told you what they do. Like
SR coloring books all have 3 hole punches on the side when we need to take them out of that coloring book and just put them into the CCT coloring book.
Move this over here
as an appendix. But Ryan, hey, thanks, man. I can't say thanks enough. Thanks for what you're doing. I know you're downrange right now, so stay frosty, man. I appreciate it. I just can't even believe I was on the road actually at the operator training summit, and Team Money hit me up. She was just like, "Hey, you got a package?" I was like, "Well, open it." And that's the standard. Like, you're my wife, just open it. It's got my name on it. I don't know what I ordered. You know what I mean? Like, that's the Amazon world we're living in. She's like, "What'd you order?" I was like, "I have no idea." But she opened it up and she was literally like, "Babe, look at this," and sent me pictures. And I was like, "Holy shit!" Seeing it in person is
amazing.
Is even better. I love having that Cheshire Cat up there. So thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it. Go check out those coloring books too. We'll hit them. We'll hit the Amazon links in the show notes. But I think that's about it, Trent. What you got?
That's it. Ides of March. Head over to onesreddit.com. Buy yourself some merch. Support the channel. You know what I mean? We're just trying to provide value. We're not artificially inflating anything. We're just going to be ourselves. We're going to tell you what we think. Sometimes we're wrong. Most of the time we're right, and you're totally incorrect because we're smarter than you. Alaska PJs really are the best. Tier 1 PJs.
Tier 1 RQS, even though they've never talked about it on a podcast. I do want to say too, they haven't talked about it. They've got a unit rule that says they're not allowed to go on podcasts. That's the word that we've been given. We've been trying to get one on, I promise. They're just resistant to it.
You just wouldn't get it, Aaron. You wouldn't understand.
I never have. Those guys do awesome work.
Do you know what my favorite thing is before we go is when guys the PJs that were ACC their entire career just hate AFSOC PJ. Like they're always, "Oh, all you AFSOC PJs, all you AFSOC guys." It's like, settle. Okay, jealous guy, settle down.
Mucho, take it easy. That's okay. The STS dudes do it the same. Like when I was at the 321st, it was the weirdest thing. Like I got there, and they were like, "Bro, I bet you're so glad you came to AFSOC as opposed to all those dorks in ACC." I'd be like, "Dude, those guys are running
within tribes, guys.
Those guys are running 200 missions on their deployments, and I'm going over to Germany to sit alert with an army team that never went anywhere for 4 months. You know what I mean? Like Stuttgart, Germany is awesome, but these guys are in the southern of, helmet. Like I have friends that had 3 deployments by the time that I went on my first one. And I was like, I don't know. They're kind of out there doing that. They're kind of like flying into hot landing zones and, getting in gunfights and saving people. Like it seems like
if you would have gone to the 2-3 though, you would have understood that is actually the other tribe that's way better than the tribe you were part.
They used to call that
hard to follow.
Oh, they used to call that the miners back when, back in the day is like they would call it the miners because you go to the 2-3 and then you go on like the 2-3 was like the main supplier to all the task force rotations. So like the 2-3 dudes, like it was always like 75% 2-3 dudes. And then you'd have like a smattering of the other STSs that would go on those. We call them TRX deployments now, but they were called like Torch back in the day. But it was funny because the 2-3 guys, they would refer to themselves as the miners. They're like, "Oh yeah, man, I got called into the miners. I'm going to go and, go to the major leagues here soon." And I was like, that's probably the douchiest thing that you could ever say. You just work at a unit, dude. You didn't like assess to get here. You just got assigned.
I feel like there was so much culture that I just missed out on, but just by not paying attention. I don't know.
Did you miss out on it though?
I was never around when I was on team.
That was my favorite. Peaches was on a Discord last night, and somebody asked him, they're like, "Hey, where can I go to get the like the best TDY schedule? Like where can I go?" And it's like Peaches and Whiskey Mo just laugh. Like I was laughing when I was on the Discord. Like I was just like, "Bro, just go any." I was like, "First of all, you're going to Cannon, Second of all, you're going to be don't worry, you won't be in Canada much. Like Whiskey was talking about, Morgan Houston was talking about how like his deployment cycle, and immediately I was like nodding my head. I had an AirPod in, and I'm like in the kitchen, you know, talking with the family and hanging out with the puppy and the baby. And Tara was like, what are you nodding your head about? What are you giggling about? I was like, oh, I was just remembering my 2010 in England. We did the math, and I was on island for like 89 days out of the year. And during those 89 days, like I went through a Krav Maga instructor course, because that's like what we were doing over the course of Easter. Like they were like, hey, it's 8 straight training days. It starts on Tuesday. And I was like, that spans Easter Sunday. Like I had just got off the road of like a 2-month deployment, or like it wasn't a deployment. It was a contingency exercise that we were doing. And I got back, and I had like one day, and then we started this hand-to-hand class where we were just beating on each other. And I was like, hey, this spans Easter Sunday. We're not training Easter Sunday. And they're like, yeah, man, it just is what it is. So in those 89 days, I had something like another 30 training days on the island where I was actually doing stuff. We were just laughing. We're like, don't worry about that white space, dude. We're going to take care of all that white space on your schedule. You're not going to have any white space.
Krav Maga definitely does not recognize your Christian holidays. So.
It does not care. Yeah. Oh, that was so close to being a greatest ally joke. Oh, I love it.
I mean, I like to leave some space for other people to just, finish it.
Oh, man. All right. That sounds good for everybody here. We love you guys. Thanks very much. Like Trent said, go check out onesready.com. Check the link tree out everywhere. It's on our YouTube. It's on our Instagram. You can find everything that we're doing there, from news stories to merch to partners to everything you possibly need. Just go check out the link tree. That includes if you're trying to be a crow and you're trying to be a guy that the team doesn't want to kill. You can go there. You can check out their flow code. It's fantastic. It's everything you need. So check out the link tree. Buy a shirt. I like the Aaron Love Hate Club shirt. It's great. Scott Zastro sent me a picture in the Aaron Love Hate Club shirt and asked if I was still his friend. And I was like, we're even more friends now because you've given me money. That's all I require. Thanks for hanging out, y'all. We love you. Thanks for all your support. We'll see you soon. And remember, OTS Guardian Grit One's Ready training event featuring Taylor Starch, the mad scientist himself, looking at the second week of June in San Diego. You'll see that soon. We'll see you later.
It's a trash.